Christopher, what are the key factors for creating valuable companies?
Well, successful and valuable companies are those that have generated sustainable market position. And that may mean that they've got a brand that they've created, Marks and Spencer. They may have a technology, perhaps some internet or software technology that is a must-have for the marketplace. They may have a product niche, somebody who invents something for, say, the diving community, or a range of products that are appropriate, perhaps children's play toys. So a sustainable market position will lead to a successful company that then steadily accretes value and becomes a valuable asset capable of being disposed of. Sometimes, though, badly managed companies can also be valuable, not necessarily because of what they are and how they're doing at the moment, but because of their potential. And because somebody who's in a strategic marketplace sees the opportunity to acquire a product or service or a brand that is being badly exploited, badly delivered into the market at the wrong price, perhaps with the wrong packaging in the wrong way. And somebody can then acquire what is effectively a company with poor profitability, poor trading, poor balance sheet, but it becomes worthwhile strategically for the acquirer to pay good value for it in order to acquire it and stop a competitor acquiring it.
How important is it to build intellectual property rights?
Well, I think it's vital, and have for a long time, because at the end of the day, every business has intellectual property. And the intellectual property is the rights to the product, the design of the product, perhaps a particular technology that's used, a particular design concept that's used in creating the product. But it's not as simple as that. It's also about concepts. For instance, if you think about the air miles concept, which was created some 20 years ago, all the branding, the speedboat logo, the coupon that represented 1,000 air miles or 10,000 air miles, all of that and the process by which the company entered into contracts with retailers and redeemers of the air miles, all of that was able to be converted into intellectual property, which then became a valuable asset. So in order to protect yourself from a competitor coming in and stealing your idea, your design, your technology, your concept, it is important to protect your brand name, your company name, and also the technology, the design that you use, and build that intellectual property up and be able to demonstrate at a time when you come to sell the company that you have secured it, it is protected from competitive threat, and therefore is valuable and is worth paying a premium in order to acquire it.
Is it important to consider from the outset an exit strategy for realising the value in the company?
No, I don't think it is. If the company is being generated for any one of three reasons, first, just to prove to the originator of the concept that they can do it. They want to be able to demonstrate that they can build successfully a business focused on their product or concept. Secondly, they may be developing their business in order to generate income. And that has two parts. It can be income for themselves, or it can be a lifestyle company for a family. And there are many families that have together developed lifestyle companies, and the family is entirely reliant on the business in order to pay for their income, provide their income and their education, perhaps their housing, cars, etc., etc. Thirdly, the capital accumulator, somebody who's building the company so that in the fullness of time, in the future, they're able to realise the capital value. And remember that capital value is typically a multiple of earnings. So if you earn £100,000 a year, the capital value of the business might be anything between £500,000 and £2 million, say, depending on what sector it's in and how important it is competitively. So no, at the outset it's not important that there's an exit strategy. But when the objectives change and the people that own the business, whether it's an individual or team of managers or family, decide that the time has come actually that their objectives have changed. And as we all get older, the thing that does change is our focus on what's important in life. So it's not unusual to find that all of a sudden the owners, the shareholders of a business say, well, actually, now, wouldn't it be quite nice to be able to realise this capital and use this capital to start another business, to set up a hotel in the Swiss Alps, or to give a large lump of money to charity, or to retire and live in luxury, or whatever other objective they may have. Then they will start thinking about an exit strategy. And I think then it becomes important to start shaping the business towards that exit strategy. And that will change completely the way the business is run.
How far in advance should people start planning for a sale if that's the direction they're moving in with their company?
Well, I think typically a couple of years is probably good. Depends really on the state of the business. If the business hasn't been particularly well managed, then it may be longer to get everything into good order, to make sure that the customer list is good, it's clean, that it's solidly built on good customers taking regular repeat orders of decent value, where there isn't a bad debt flow, where suppliers are locked in, where they've committed for the long term, the intellectual property has been protected, there aren't any litigation disputes, arguments with customers or suppliers or employees, where there aren't any hidden liabilities, where the balance sheet has been cleaned up, there aren't any funny assets like private planes or large Sunseeker yachts that are the sort of trappings of paraphernalia of the typical entrepreneurial business. All of those need to be cleaned up, clean audit reports, etc. So it takes a good 2 years to put that all into shape. And the reason for doing that is so when you go to a buyer, the buyer is picking up a company for which they're going to pay a multiple of earnings, let's remember, so a high premium to acquire control of the business. When you go to that buyer, the buyer will look at it, will do their due diligence, they'll have their lawyers whispering in their ear, but there won't be any problem that they find. And the one thing that will blow a sale out is a loss of confidence. And you don't need an awful lot to lose confidence in the integrity of the business, which comes to light in the due diligence process. So 2 solid years, very focused on shaping the business to maximise the value that you can achieve out of it.
Thinking about innovator entrepreneurs who create intellectual property, create new products, potentially patents, product designs and so forth, if after due consideration they don't want to run the business themselves, they're not looking to take the business on and to exploit the value, what other options are there for innovators to profit from what they've created?
Broadly speaking, there are 2 routes, I think, that they can follow in order to get some value. The first, I'm not sure is very successful. They can take their idea to somebody else and say, buy this from me. The reason I don't think it's very successful is because there's a very large likelihood that to take an idea that's unproven, untested, not been put into the marketplace, it's a design or a concept, there's no market, there's no revenue, there's no buyer out there saying, I'd like to buy 20,000 of these products and give you lots of orders. I think the likelihood of receiving any real value for that is pretty minimal. On the other hand, if the concept is sound, if the product is good, and there's been some basic research to establish that, then the obvious way is to say to somebody, partner me on this. Take this product, take this design, I'll assign you the rights. And in exchange for assigning the rights, I'd like you to give me a 5%, 10%, 15% royalty of all the revenue you generate when you put this product into the market. And that way, you're able to get a long-term earnings stream from the idea, albeit that you may not enjoy the full flow of profits that somebody else will. However, if you've got the right licensing agreement and you start receiving annual flow of licensing royalties, that annual flow of licensing royalties can itself be annuitized, in other words, converted into a capital sum, return on which is producing an amount equal to the royalty flow. Therefore, if you're getting, say, £100,000 a year of royalties, you may be able to sell that for £1 million, i.e. £1 million yields 10% return per annum, and that is the equivalent of the royalty flow. So by exercising royalty agreements with willing partners, you can convert that opportunity into a longer term capital value. But it may be at a lower value than if you had developed the business yourself.